Alright, hello? Again, belt tensioner, timing belt, water pump. What we're doing on the blue vehicle and the green vehicle, over here we're going to do the front shock absorbers, front steering knuckle, leaf spring, lower suspension arm, rubber bushing, and lower control arm, I believe it was, and on the rear end I think we have a drive axle and another part to replace on the end of this vehicle. So we have a few items that we're going to replace and a few things that we're going to swap back and forth from each vehicle here. We're going to go ahead and start taking apart this one vehicle. We're going to pop off a few parts that it wants off. If it wants water pump for this vehicle. So we want to put it into this vehicle. So we went ahead and took off the other water pump, but it's not really worth exchanging it, so I think we might just leave it and we'll kind of see what will happen, because I believe this vehicle's parts are in too low of a condition for any other, for this other vehicle that we have going on, at least for right now. So we have 66%. We got to replace belt tensioner, timing belt, and the water pump number 14. And on here we are, it looks like most of our percentages is probably going to be around 50 or less, so we are going to go ahead and replace the parts that we actually do have to replace. We're going to go ahead and take apart this timing belt cover anyways. We're going to see what's underneath, and we're going to take the either pulley out of here. We're going to take the cover right off. We're going to take the timing belt right off. We're going to take the tensioner right off. Take everything right off. We're going to see what kind of condition we're left with and what kind of parts we have left over that are in that percentage range. But it looks like they're just pretty low, and it's not going to be really worth our time to carry these parts around at this point in the game, because we're already at, most of our parts at 70%, and most of the vehicles that are be coming in, and we're going to be changing over to higher quality. So got that solid drive axle on the rear end that we have to take out at some point. I have no idea where that is, so we're going to go ahead and start taking apart this front end. We got 5 bolts we have to take off this tire. We're going to go ahead and look, we only have to do 48% condition for this vehicle, so swapping the vehicle parts from this vehicle to the other vehicle makes perfect sense, but using the vehicle's parts from this vehicle to replace on the other vehicle to, well, that's a don't touch me noise. We kind of clicked that too many times there. Taking these parts over here and using it to actually fix this vehicle, like the water pump and the tensioner that you can see in the background, and the other item that this vehicle is in for. It's not really worth using that other vehicle's parts. Got a bit of interchanging to do, and a couple things that we have to tear off of this vehicle and start placing onto the other vehicle. We're going to go ahead and take that sway bar link. We're going to take that front shock absorber off of this side. Oopsie, we're going to get out of there and just double check that. Pushing, really, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward job, but a lot of things that do need to come off, so we're going to go ahead and take the required parts off of here. The caliper, we're going to take the pad, we're going to break the ventilated disc off, we're going to take the wheel hub cap. Now we're going to take the wheel hub off in there, and we're going to go ahead and take this inner tire rod, outer tire rod off, pardon me, and that lower suspension arm. We have to raise the vehicle up to take that off, so we might as well just go and do that now. We'll get caught up in the front end of the vehicle. We're going to go ahead and lift the hoist straight up. We're going to get that hoist up. We're going to go ahead and take this lower suspension arm off with 2 bolts and 1 nut, it looks like. Yes, and we're going to take off this front steering knuckle, and we're going to place it onto this vehicle over here. We're going to go ahead and lift up the hoist, and we're going to lift up the car up into the air. Go ahead and we'll take off these 3 items that we have to take off of here, and we'll get these brake pads, brake caliper, and we'll take the front end off of the vehicle right here. We'll take the front end off of the right side of the vehicle of all of the steering components anyways. We're not going to take the whole subframe and everything out of there. Can we take the subframe out of here? I don't even know. I haven't even checked. Probably. Not gonna worry about myself about that. If it comes up, it comes up. Okay, we're gonna take this wheel hub bearing out. We're gonna take the hub off. We're gonna take this front steering knuckle out of here. Yeah, it looks like lower suspension crossbeam. It just popped up the very bottom before we were leaving. So go ahead and place this old vehicle's, the other vehicle's parts onto this car over here, and effectively replacing the vehicle's needs that the vehicle came in here for. But the owner requested us to replace the front knuckle and other required parts like the suspension and the other side of the vehicle that we have to attend to, and the lower suspension arm and that other part in the bottom. I'm going to go back here and see we got the check mark already for the one part, so we're doing very well. Now we will go and start placing the suspension back together. We will give you a higher quality on this side. Ensure that we actually do our job. And we will not have to worry about disposing any good parts we have, because this vehicle only requires, I think, above 54, so we have to hit 55% as our minimum condition for this vehicle. The other vehicle requires 66%. I'm going to put that, no. We're going to go back and disassemble that. Going to reassemble this, and we're going to place that old part on there. What are we doing? We're not going to give this vehicle any brand new parts. What are you talking about? So we need a leaf spring plate, outer tie rod, U-bolt in the rear. We are going to replace. And I believe we will go attend the other side first. We'll get the side put back together so we don't get a whole bunch of dinging when we try to dispose of this vehicle afterwards. Back to the rightful owner. Yeah, so not really worth changing that out. Doesn't hurt to double check, you know, never know what they had replaced last, you know. But when you run into mechanics like me, and well, you're gonna end up with a vehicle like this real quick. 2025 with 1994 parts. Oh, wouldn't that be something else? Imagine trying to claim a warranty on that. Well, we'll take this tire off right here. We're going to go ahead and take this outer tie rod off. Ensure that we have the extra part for the other vehicle. The lowest quality condition can go back onto this vehicle, and the lowest quality condition can therefore go back onto the other vehicle. And we will have a very, very happy customer. They will have their vehicle back, running in some type of condition. Now we got 3 check marks so far. We need that bushing and the solid drive axle that we need to replace. It's gonna have a look through parts. It doesn't really seem, you know, kind of gaining a few more parts here and there, so find another vehicle that we're going to be able to dispose all of these parts onto. Knuckle. And double check we're in the right car shop. We're just going to type front end. Get ourselves a knuckle A and go ahead and apply. We're going to go ahead and pay for that purchase. Take that out of our account. That is now at $8,499. We've done very well so far for being at level 2, I believe. Because we only have 2 experience points in our garage, that's what I'm going to base that guess off of. Now, yeah, see, we're just kind of gaining a lot more. Not really. Oh well, we're going to get into the situations, that's okay. Lower suspension arm, we'll go ahead and buy one of these. We're going to go back to the vehicle. Double check the 3rd check mark before we go and buy the part, front shock absorber. I know this is a lot of walking back and forth, but by the time we buy that tablet, we need a few more experience points. We have to do the walking, we have to do the manual grunt labor. Eventually, if you see in the controls, there's a T, the very bottom, for a tablet. As we take parts off, we can just pop that tablet out. And I believe, like, auto order, I don't know. It'd be nice if we could auto order it. Not too sure if that's on this game or one of the future games. So, the rubber bushing and solid rear drive axle. I have no idea where that is, but my suspicion is in the rear end. And drive shaft and fuel tank and coil spring rear drive axle. So, I think it's inside of there, but not too sure if I have to take everything apart to get into there, or does it just slide out one end if I take apart the wheels? Well, there's our solid control arm or U joint that we have to take off. And if I can take that off, we're going to highlight this, double check the solid rear axle so we don't tear apart the entire car for no reason. We allow ourselves to use the game mechanics that are here to help us, like becoming a chop shop simulator, just to get ourselves more money. You know, we don't even have to buy the 100% parts and hoard those 100% parts in our inventory. We can just keep 100% of the money, but I think it does get us a little more money if we buy the 100% parts. Not too sure. Haven't really looked into it. I'm not going to make any more guesses beyond that, because it's just really a guess. We'll take this background off. It does give me the don't touch me noise. Go ahead and take this wheel hub right off of here. Coil spring drive axle. Yeah. Did we take it apart already? I'm not too sure. I have no idea what I'm doing. It looks like it's highlighted and it's gone already. Is it just one side? Nothing in there. So we're left with the housing on the outside. And yeah. Solid rear drive axle. You know, we're gonna go ahead and just take everything apart. Seems to be our style anyway, so we're just gonna rip the whole thing apart. See what we can dump on this vehicle anyways. Might be able to get a small upgrade here and there. Here's these leaf spring U-bolts that we have to replace on the other side. And the leaf spring plate that we have to remove. We removed a solid axle control arm. Now we're just going to pull out the drive shaft just because. Extra work for us for, I believe, no reason, but we're just going to see and going to pull everything apart and take the whole vehicle apart here. That's our style, that's our motto. If the bolt hasn't been wrenched on, then we haven't done the job. We have to take every bolt apart and show you everything that's wrong with your vehicle. Yes. We'll put all this back together later. Here we are. Yeah, don't touch me noise. We're gonna get a bunch of those going on. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me. Yes. There we go. Take this brake disc off. We took the hub out. Solid rear drive axle out. Now we just kicked the whole thing apart. Now we're going to put it back together. Assemble mode, which is number 2 on the keyboard. See, the solid rear drive axle is completely gone. Perfect. Nothing else to worry about. Well, I guess the rubber bushing, but I'm gonna go ahead and get everything back together eventually. Go back to our computer that we had to walk all the way over here for. It'd be nice if the computer was, I don't know, right behind us, but I guess we had to fill out invoices somewhere. We're going to go ahead and have ourselves actually look up the proper axle that we need. Solid rear drive axle seems to be the one that we do need. But we are going to go back, doubly, triply check. We are the ones that do not want to lose any money on our build, and that is exactly what we need, the rear drive. After fortifying it, we went ahead and purchased one. Now we're going to go ahead and take apart this vehicle's rear end. We're going to take the tires right off. We're going to go ahead and take the brake disc caliper off. We're going to go ahead and take the brake pads off, the brake disc off, the rear cap off, the rear hub off. Take the 3 bolts that are attached. There's four bolts. And go ahead and you can hear dog barking. That's my neighbor's song. She's excited. It is her walk time. Go ahead and place this rear end back together with the worst parts that we can. We will place the cap back on and get ready for the wheel to go back on afterwards. We'll start assembling this entire rear end out of the worst possible parts. Ensure that we give both vehicles a fair chance for replacement. Gonna worry about these outer tie rod, leaf spring, and leaf spring U-bolt at the very end. Well, we'll take care of it, you know, as we go through the vehicle, but we will ensure that we have a 57% part that is being replaced on this vehicle, so we do meet the minimum standard above 48%, which is 49%. Yes. This part was not damaged before, so we do not have to worry about its condition, which makes things very beautiful. Oh, look at this part back on here. Brake disc. We're going to get the brake pads onto here where we'll select the very worst condition. Get the caliper back on here. We will select the very worst condition. Get the wheel back on here. Eventually. And Sophie, time for your walk. Alright, get the rear axle back onto this side. Ensure that we have the 100% part back on this vehicle, because it's going to give us a little bit better of a rating condition for this vehicle. So we do make any other mistakes along the line. Get this drive shaft back into place, which is 8 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. The front end, we will get the back end on here. 1, 2, 3, 4 for the bolts that need to be replaced. Back into place to hold the drive shaft into place. Here we are. We will get a solid axle control arm replaced. And not looking too bad for this back end. We will get the spring cap back on. We will get the spring back on. We might as well go as far as to get that shock back onto here, but we will see. One item at a time. Here we are. We got the shock back onto the rear end. Rear shock absorber B. Leaf spring plate. Leaf spring U-bolt. And we will go ahead and replace this one with the better condition that did come from this original side. And we will replace this with this condition here. We will ensure that we get the better condition onto this side. That way we can go over to our computer. We're just going to go and order a couple new parts. We're going to type in plate to get the leaf spring plate. Bolt. Might have been easier to type in leaf for both items, but oh well. That is okay. We will go back here and we will start replacing the couple parts that we do have to replace in order to get our check marks for the vehicle to leave our shop. Yay! Now I'm doing a little test, so it doesn't really matter kind of where these parts come from. Doesn't really seem like you need to put them back in any special order. Except for the vehicle needs to leave in a better condition, so we're gonna have a bit of fun with this in our upcoming videos and gonna get ourselves into a real sleazy mechanic. If you don't think that what we're doing here is bad enough, gonna rock your world next time. For now, we're gonna worry about the cider tie rod, and we're gonna get that rubber bushing back replaced and in the front or rear end, wherever it is located, and we're gonna get it replaced with a better rubber bushing. It's inner tie rod, outer tie rod on this end, or this side, is both in good condition. This outer tie rod is not in the best condition, it appears, so we will take it off. It only has 17%. We're going to place this better condition one from the other vehicle onto here. And we are going to ensure that looks like we got everything placed back onto here fairly well. And be sure to get these rubber bushings back into here. 49% is above the 48% minimum. And it looks like we got all the check marks for this one so far. Outer tie rod. Everything is good. Gonna go back to our computer. Get the tie rod, outer tie rod. We're gonna purchase one of those. Rubber bushing. We're gonna purchase one of those. Gonna go back to our vehicle. Go back to assemble mode. Do a nice thorough inspection. And we will go back over to our other side. Looks like everything has been satisfactorily replaced on both sides. Everything appears to be in good condition. We still have the rubber bushing to replace, and it does appear that we have to replace it on the front end. So you're just going to double check the back end. Triply make sure that we haven't missed anything at all. And eliminate this from the process of elimination. We will go back to this front end. There appears to be maybe an area that I have overlooked. Rubber bushing seems to be in good condition. This front one seems to be... I don't know, it looks okay. I'll have a look at the back one here. That one looks okay. What did we miss? I don't know, it's not going to really highlight it. We're going to have to do a better in-depth kind of investigation on which one we really missed. Oh, it actually might be this one. Yeah, 26%. It wasn't quite as rusty, you know, it kind of still had a little bit of life left to it. We're gonna go ahead and remove these bolts out of here. You know, we don't have to put quite the best one in. We'll put the 82% back into there, and there we go. Now we're gonna ensure that we put this other side on so we can get this tire back on. Looks like we just need that cap on the inside. We are. We're going to get this optional part back onto the other vehicle and do a bit of mismatch making with the vehicle parts that we have going on here. Now it looks like we got 100% check marks and everything. Just need to finish putting the vehicle back together. Try not to get too many dings on this vehicle. Now, look, I don't know. Got a few decent, there's that malice from that vehicle that we did on our second video there. So I'll have to upgrade that with our next one that comes in eventually. I don't even really want to work on those vehicles anymore, but that's okay. Now we'll go ahead and take this caliper off of here. We're going to take the disc and the pads off. Then we're just going to replace it with the worst one that we have here. Place the brake pads back onto there. And we're going to place this caliper back onto here. Two bolts, same as always, that need to be replaced. The Rim Classic 13 that goes back onto this vehicle. The one original remaining wheel. Close that hood up for the customer to take this vehicle out of here. Made $825 on this vehicle, plus whatever parts that we salvaged. And oh yeah, it's supposed to go back in there and do that. Front end, put the belts on. Oopsie. Don't touch me. Serpentine belt. Serpentine belt A. There we are. Close that hood. Go ahead and finish that job. Yay! Alright, we're going to go ahead and get ourselves a new vehicle that we can go and steal parts off to replace under this vehicle. Let's select something that's in better condition. This actually looks like it's in pretty good condition. Only time will tell. Now we're going to go back over to our toolbox, and we do have one upgrade point. Might try using it on this repair tool just for fun, but we don't need the compressor, we don't need any of the OBD yet, so we're doing pretty well on the XP point. Hello? Nobody. Alright, we're going to go for M for move. Move this over to the... We can't use the parking yet. Yeah, we actually have to go, and there's no bypassing it. We actually have to wait until the 9,000 experience level to go and unlock that door behind us. Well, in front of us. Now behind us. RAS customization, and we're going to not do anything over there. We're just going to go and click on random toolboxes for a little bit and kind of explore everything that every toolbox has to do. Seems that every toolbox does work, and every toolbox actually has a function, and we can actually click on everything, and it's not just kind of for show. There's a lot of interactivity in this video game, and we can go amongst ourselves and start clicking in all the parts and do all of the beautiful things that we can with this vehicle. Need a bit of a time to make a little bit of an adjustment there, and we can go back to our chop shop simulator that we have going on. We're going to go ahead and move this vehicle over to our right lifter. Can't do anything with the paint shop yet, and nothing really. Can't do any upgrades over here. Gonna wander over here, gonna show you this door that I was talking about just to double check, 9,000 experience to upgrade with the parking. So in case we ever get ourselves in a situation where we have 3 vehicles in here, we can't really, we can't work on anything in the center, can't work on anything outside, Can't store anything outside to kind of play musical Oh, you look in very good condition. ABS pump, brake caliper, brake pad, disc brake, disc ventilated. 79% is what needs to meet the exceeding minimum standard. It has to be 80% of what we have to replace the vehicle's parts with. So it seems that we're not going to be able to, let's say, rob or steal parts off of this other vehicle that we have in the shop. But that is okay. I think we can dump a few parts that we have that are garbage that are laying around in this inventory, this magical inventory that we just kind of pull out of nowhere, that we're walking around with thousands of car parts in our inventory, just wandering around the shop with that. We go ahead and get the spring cap back on, lower percentage. Get this rear spring back on, lower percentage. This cap back on, lower percentage. Upgrade as much as we can. Go ahead and remove this side as well. We're getting all above 80% that we're removing, so don't think I did the right one there. Gonna go back and double check that I did select the right one. Even though it is only 1%, we are going to ensure that we get the best quality that we can. Always ensure that the customers are left with the worst part. So all they needed was a belt tensioner, timing belt, and one other internal engine part, that water pump, number 14, that didn't even really... had absolutely no reason for us to take apart this front end, but I'm going to go ahead and do that anyways. Just because we want to upgrade, right? Sucks that that shock doesn't come out of there. Every time I want to be able to take that shock out of there, but you know. Oh well. Outer tie rod. Ensure that we put the lower suspension arm back on there, which is the lowest condition that we can replace. We may have another bit of an issue with these tires, but whatever. Not the end of the world. You know, if you want to keep the tire mistake down to a minimum, keep down to, you know, 2 tires, but then that way I could have switched out a few garbage parts in that other vehicle and kind of upgraded that other vehicle with this vehicle's tires, therefore raising the percentage, but you know, that's kind of a lot of... I'd just rather take the tire right off and see what we can do. See what's left over for this vehicle that we can replace on here. We don't want to get too willy-nilly, because before, you know, we're replacing the whole knuckle and then we gotta take it all apart again, and we don't want to do that too much. We want to just kind of learn what the balance is in between the parts that we have to replace and remove. 67% is pretty good condition. We're going to go ahead and replace that one bolt, and we're going to go ahead and go back over to this side. Get ourselves back into assembly mode. We're going to put that link on back here, 69%. Put that bolt on the nut back on the bottom, nut back on the top. Replace the brake disc ventilator, and we'll replace this one with 69%. There we are. Now ABS pump, brake caliper, brake disc ventilator, brake pads. All have to be 80% or above on this vehicle, as that is what needs to be replaced with, because this vehicle is in a lot newer year, or a lot newer condition, or a lot better everything. Someone didn't take it out 4x4ing, and I'm gonna move it over back to the center because I want to do a bit of playing around here. I want to look on this car. You know, it's so terrible that there's really nothing that you can do without the hoist. You should be able to lift it up with the... Yeah, here. I should be able to drag this jack over to the center, and it should be able to at least do something, or drag it out to the parking lot after, or, you know, why have it just sitting here staring at me in the face? Well, I guess it's off in the corner, but whatever. We'll get back to what we were doing before. Occupied. We meant to place it on the right lifter, not onto the left lifter. Is what we meant to do. Onto the right. The hoist is very, very, very loud. Over the top of everything. Yes, now we have to go ahead and take this wheel right off of here. Take the 5 bolts off. We're going to take this brake caliper off the rear end because this is what the customer requested. This is what they need off of their vehicle. That 28% caliper we're going to remove. And brake disc ventilated. But the rear end is just brake disc and the very front is brake disc ventilated. Why not just keep them all ventilated? Oh well. I'm not driving it. I'm just ruining it. It looks like we need to put the 100% back on here because I don't have any 80% or above that are in good enough condition. And just go over here and type in brake. We'll buy ourselves brake pads, brake caliper. Go back to the vehicle. Get the wheel back on eventually. Probably steal a bushing out of here. I think it's good enough. We can maybe steal one and replace it with the 10% there. What do you think we can do too? See what we can get away with, right? Why not? Go back into that assemble mode, which is number 2 on your keyboard. Rubber bushing, we'll go ahead and replace it with this very low percentage. There we are. Double check if we can do a little small upgrade as well with this one. I mean, why not, you know? Get that 79% back in there. Right, we already did all 3. You might as well do all 4. Right, 82. So it kind of evened out in the end. That's alright. What we wanted to do. Gonna pop this tire off. We're gonna take this caliper right off of here. Here we are. 2 bolts and come on the back. Now we're gonna go ahead and take this wheel off of here. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 4. I don't know, something like that. 1, 2, 1. I'll take these pads off of there. Take that right off. And we'll take this tire off as well. There we are. Okay. Then we'll take this caliper off of here. Take the pads off of there. Take that brake disc ventilator off of there. Beautiful. Beautiful times. We just have to do that pump at the very end. Not too big of a deal. Pick ourselves up a brake disc. Sure that we are slowly getting the parts that we need. Slowly getting the 100% parts that we need as we are replacing this vehicle. It has to be above 80%. Or above 79, so 80% or more. We're going to have to select that 88% and replace it with that one. And this one has to be 82%. Now, the caliper, we're just going to do the same because go back and there we are, do the same there, just because we don't want to upset the car too much. We've done a lot to it. Well, we haven't done too much to this one. We can't do a lot, but in terms of how much we can do. I think we've done a lot. Let's break this ventilator on here. We're going to put the caliper. We already got the check mark for the break disc, so it doesn't matter really if we were to put the ultra low percentage on there, but we're going to go ahead and save this other ultra low percentage for another vehicle. We're just going to kind of do the little upgrades there where we can. Dump it all on the other vehicle, so we just have 3 parts left that we're just always going to go through and always double check as we're putting new parts on. We're going to make sure that we are actually doing our job and replacing the correct part in the correct area, because sometimes you forget, and that's pretty easy to get turned around when you're working on multiple sides of the vehicle and multiple vehicles at the same time. You're able to easily lose which parts you're having to replace. We're going to go ahead and replace this brake pads with a better condition. Ensure that we get the 100% on there, maybe. I don't really think this vehicle is going to have any better condition. Doesn't hurt to double check. Oh, I don't know. This don't really look. Doesn't look like it'll work, so get that brake disc back onto there. We're going to get these pads back onto here, because we still have to do the check mark. So we'll select the lowest quality 100% that we have laying around. And that still didn't fix the problem, so we're going to take them back off and put the lowest quality, better ones that we have laying around. Used ones. We did this one, it was acceptable. Maybe this was a problem. Yeah, so I just gotta do the caliper. Whatever, I'll give him a better set of brake pads on the back end, doesn't really matter. Brake pads are nice and cheap, so you know, we'll kind of play with that percentage value as much as we can. Give them an upper quality brake caliper. And we are going to get this wheel back onto here eventually. We'll get everything placed back together. Going to go back into disassemble mode here. Going to go back into assemble mode here. Still got one caliper that we need to replace, so we haven't done good enough of a job yet. Going to go back and take this brake caliper off of here. 74%, and it's kind of where you lose track sometimes. You kind of lose track of what you're doing, which part's going on where. I got to take a really good mental inventory. That was the correct part that had to go back on here. Oh, that looks like a really poor condition. What came in here? Oh. Oh wow. Imagine that, you get a 55% tire compared to you got an 80% when it first came in here. Now you're being shipped off with a 50% tire. Oh baby. Now we're gonna go and take a look, and all we had to do was a brake tensioner, our tensioner and the belt and the water pump on the other vehicle. We still have not addressed any of those issues, but we're gonna go ahead and lower each vehicle back down onto the ground. Gonna open up this engine bay. Go ahead and remove this ABS pump from this front engine bay. We're gonna go ahead and take the module off, which has a lot of little little bolts to it that we are going to take off. Gonna go over to this vehicle, take this ABS module off of this side. And we will see exactly just how much we can tear off of this vehicle in order to replace both vehicles with parts, and just kind of see how much we can get away with. This is the one that's 73%. So we're going to have to go ahead and put 100% back in there. Unfortunately, that the other car did not provide us with a high enough standard, but we are going to replace the lower percentage into this vehicle and surely put the module back onto there. We're going to go back to our computer. We're going to go click on it. We're going to go click up here before we start typing. ANS, that is not what we need. ABS is what we need. ABS pump. This is the one that we do need. We do not need the module. That is an extra $700 and $900 that we do not need to spend right now. We have earned that money very well with sending people's vehicles out in worse condition. Just like this whole front end, I believe this whole entire front end was in perfect condition when this person brought their vehicle in. Now we're going to go ahead and get back into assemble mode. We're going to get ourselves with this ABS pump. We're going to give them the 0%. We're going to give this person the higher percentage module out of the two. As we're degrading one vehicle, we're going to upgrade the same vehicle by degrading another vehicle. It's all a bit of fun here. We're going to go ahead and do the original needs that the customer brought their vehicle in for, which is the water pump and the tensioner to start with. I'm going to go walk back over to this vehicle because I do believe that this water pump and this tensioner are in good condition. These belts are in good condition. This water pump is in good condition. Timing belt. Yeah, well, 66%, so we're going to go ahead and take the rest of the items off that we need to take off. Or not, we're just going to start slapping all this back together and we'll come back and do the timing belt off after. Double check that everything fits, everything works, and timing belt, and you know, it does give us a check mark, so we are going to take all of the parts that we just placed back on there. We're going to take them back off. We'll take the cover off, which is 4 bolts. We need 2 bolts in the top, 2 bolts in the very bottom. We're going to take this timing belt off of here, which is in 14% condition. Walk over to our computer. Click on the very top. Type in timing belt. That's the right timing belt that we do need. Water pump number 14. We need the tensioner. So, ABS pump, pump pulley, water pump 16. Water pump 14 is what we need. Now we need a tensioner. EENSION belt tensioner for $35 is what we need. So we'll go over to this vehicle. We will start assembling. Just joking. We're going to go over to this vehicle. We're going to start disassembling. Take this either pulley off here. We're going to take this timing belt cover off of here. 4 bolts that we need to take off. We're going to take this timing belt off of here. Going to go ahead and switch directly into assemble mode. Going to place the lowest quality parts back onto this vehicle. Therefore, upgrading that other vehicle a little bit so we can dump all of those parts on that other vehicle. Dump all of these parts onto this vehicle. And then switch all of the higher quality parts from this vehicle with the lower quality parts from that vehicle. As we are doing the actual job on the blue vehicle, and that one's behind us. That only needed the pulley and the water pump and the timing belt. So now we're going to go back over here and we're going to place the higher percentage parts back onto here. 81% definitely is above the 66% criteria. If we took the timing belt cover from the other vehicle, and we're going to place the higher percentage quality parts onto this vehicle, ensuring that we are able to get this vehicle out of the shop. Here we are. We're going to get the 2 bolts back onto the water pump. We're going to get this serpentine belt back onto here. We go ahead and get this other serpentine belt back onto here. Get this belt tensioner back onto here. There we are. Okay. Now we got this other parts that we have to put back onto this vehicle here. Big deal. I'm gonna lift the car back up here. Bit of a microphone adjustment I have to do. This thing's getting pretty loose. Not a very good quality microphone that I purchased, but oh well. Here we are. We got the brake pads that we're gonna place back onto this vehicle. We're gonna get the very lowest quality brake caliper that we can back on this vehicle. I really doubt that this vehicle is gonna allow us to let it send it back out, but I don't know. See what we can do, right? And get this higher quality tires on here. There we are. Lower quality back onto this car. Go ahead and put our rear caliper back onto here. Lowest quality is what we're going to start with. Now we're going to go ahead and put this nicer wheel onto this car. And we are going to go and put this lowest quality brake disc ventilator back onto this side. We'll get the lowest quality brake pads back onto here, and we'll get the lowest quality brake caliper back onto here. There we are. I'm going to go back to our assemble mode. Ensure that we have all of the car parts that we need for the vehicle to be drivable down the road. So it needs a wheel bearing and a cap afterwards, and we're going to put this drive axle back into here. We only need 1 bolt that needs to go back into here. I guess it doesn't need a cap. Put this optional part back onto this side, which needs 5 bolts that need to go back into here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can tell, the rear end tire is completely different now. I'm going to go ahead and take this rear end tire off of here. Going to replace it with that optional part. Higher end quality tires. Sure that all the tires are the same. And we're going to lower it back down to the ground, and we're going to close. We got the hood closed already. We can get our $352 car is in worse condition than it arrived. Well, we already gave you nice new tires. What are you complaining about? Maybe we can take out this ABS pump and try to do something about that for you. At least then that way, you know, things will be a little bit better in your favor, and you'll be able to stop and when you get the vehicle out. Just go over here and replace the ABS pump. No. Yeah, I guess it's for parts that really, you know, really are, I don't know, just metal, you know, they don't have any internal working parts that actually need to function, so like a bolt needing to be straightened or realigned and having the strength back into there, so we go ahead and close and get our $352, but no, telling us that we're in worse condition than we brought the vehicle in, so we take this tire off of here, and we'll take this link off of here maybe, or we'll check out this caliper, have a look, take these pads off of here, take this, get this assemble mode back onto here, we'll get a 72% back on there, we'll get a 72% caliper back onto here, see if we can do a little upgrade that will let us get this vehicle out of here and back onto its way. Optional part is when we're going to keep all of these tires in the same manner. Now we're going to see if this car will let us finish the job. Car is in worse condition than it arrived. Well, you know what that means. I have to take these 5 bolts back off again. Should have taken that brake disc off when we were there, but maybe we'll just try the link. One small thing at a time. See how well those tires really did for us to be able to get rid of all of these terrible condition parts. The only worry is the other vehicle. Is it going to let us push it out of the car, push the car out of the garage with the lower quality tires? But yeah, we're just going to lift her back into the air, put ourselves back underneath this vehicle. See if we can do the oil filter change. Get it, we'll give it the better quality since you gave us a lot of parts. Put you back down on the ground so we can drive you out of here when the customer comes to get you. Finished job for $352. Car is in worse condition than it arrived. Put you back up on the hoist. We will raise you back into the air. We will get you back onto the hoist. We will raise you back into the air. I think we can change out an exhaust pipe real quick. Get that catalytic converter off of there. See what kind of percentage this is in. This is where things can get haywire real quick. You're trying to change over one vehicle for other parts. You're trying to change other parts for other parts, and gonna lose the battle, but take that off. There we are. Finally get that off of there, but take this off. We gotta lower the whole vehicle, so I think that's kind of pointless at this point. Gonna go into disassemble mode, and we are gonna put whatever ones that are in better quality back onto this other vehicle. Quick, go ahead and take that muffler off of there. Catalytic converter off of there. I'm going to transfer it back over to this vehicle, ensure that we put the best quality parts back onto this vehicle. Assemble mode number 2. Going to give it the best quality parts that we can. We're not going to give them the very best ones that we have laying around, but we're going to ensure we at least give this vehicle an upgrade in some form fashion. 80% out of the 2 that we have laying around, which is the 2 from each vehicle. Go back to this vehicle, do a bit of assembling here. We'll put the exhaust pipes back onto this vehicle here. Exhaust pipe 74%, muffler middle, and catalytic converter when we get up into there. There we are. We just need to click on the very front end, get rid of this catalytic converter at 72%. There we are. We're going to raise and lower this one after. We're not. We're just going to double check it from up in the air, but after all that, still didn't like it, huh? What's a little thing that we can do? Change out the muffler, maybe? Oh, no, they don't have the same muffler. Maybe I'll try it anyways. No. Yeah, you have to put that one back on there. Unfortunately, can't just go around upgrading and downgrading mufflers. That's unfortunate. Now we're gonna go ahead and either way, we're gonna have to take this wheel off of here, so we'll take the wheel off. And we're gonna take this link off of here. Looks like we might try to take this front shock off of here and take the cap off to begin with. Go ahead and take the shock absorber out of here. No, can't replace any of it by doing any repairs on the bench. This one still says it's 100%. See what we can do here. Went to the wrong mode there. We need to go back and take the cap off the very top. Of course, every angle that I choose was the wrong angle. That's okay. Go ahead and take this link off of here. We get the don't touch me noise a few times. Now we're going to go ahead and take the shock absorber off. 2 bolts. We're going to go back to assemble mode. Replace it with this lower quality condition one. Got to be a little careful on this vehicle and what lower quality we're going to throw back onto it, because we already throw the terrible tires onto there, so might as well try these links and the shock absorber and see if we can get away with it. If not, then they're fairly easy parts that we can come back and replace afterwards. With this optional part on here. There we are. Okay, now we're going to go back to this vehicle. Going to replace the shock absorber, assemble mode number 2 on the keyboard. You can see left hand side under the controls. We're going to get these 2 bolts into here. And now we're going to finish off that 1 bolt. Once we can get ourselves, there we are. Front sway bar link, we're going to do the 2 bolts. There we go. Go back, get that tire back onto here. We're going to get this optional part onto here. It even shows you when you go back to an assemble mode. Cars incomplete, front shock absorber cap. Which tire is on the vehicle. So if you got 1 tire on this vehicle, that it's going to show you it when you go to the assemble mode. So we're going to go back. Double check that we got both sides for both caps on here. We can go back and finish job cars in worse condition than it arrived. Would you figure that? It's nothing new. Like we haven't had to go through that problem a few times already. You think we're going to learn? Nope. And we're just going to see what least amount of effort we can put into this kind of vehicle to get the parts that we need to get this vehicle out the door and away from us. No, we even went ahead and let's see what we can do with the spark plugs here. Gonna do a little switcheroo from vehicle to vehicle, maybe. I don't know. Not too sure. Maybe we'll take the battery out. Do a little battery swap, or get this vehicle back under the ground here. We're gonna let it lower. Go back over. We'll start doing the engine. We'll take the battery out. The previous one was 69%. This one's 83%. So it seems like we are getting better parts from this vehicle, so we may be able to upgrade the other vehicle and get that other vehicle out of our hair and create a problem with this vehicle. We will see. There we are. We got the parts that we need. We're going to go back over to this vehicle, put all the spark plugs back into here that are higher quality. We are going to do it reverse. Today we're going to click on the higher ones. Going to replace this ignition coil with a higher percentage, and I just want to say thank you everybody for watching our YouTube channel. on the next video, we're going to figure out what happened to that vehicle, if we're going to be able to get it out of the garage or not. Thank you very much for taking your time to watch my channel. Thank you, Mahal, for giving me this back, and I hope everybody has a great day. We're going to get this vehicle out of here. $352 is what we made. Gonna open it up, make sure we get the battery back in there. That really needs to go back in for the vehicle to be able to start, and get that back in there. Slap that hood closed. Thank you very much. Take care.